Okay, this is a video where we're going to learn all about how to graph lines when given in slope-intercept form, which is this form y equals mx plus b. Now it turns out that this form y equals mx plus b makes it very easy to graph a line. So a line is basically a straight relationship when you have an equation with y and x in it. So when we graph, we remember this up and down is the y-axis. This left and right is the x-axis. And turns out that this form, this number right here, the b number, we call it the y-intercept. And that's usually where you start when you want to graph. Y-intercept is the place the graph crosses the y-axis. Okay, the m is what we call the slope. And the slope is how steep is the graph. How, like if you thought of it as a mountain, does it go up? Does it go down? Is it flat? Is it steep? It's actually, we write it as the rise over the run, which means how much did you go up or down? And then how much did you go left and right between points? Okay, let me do an example to make it more clear for you. Let's look at this example here. We have an equation y equals 5/2 x minus 3. Now the first thing you want to do is look at this number here, this minus 3. This is what's called the y-intercept. It's the place where the graph crosses the y-axis. So I'll go down 1, 2, 3. I know the line crosses right there. Okay, the next thing I'll look at is my slope. The slope, remember, is the rise over the run, which is the change in y divided by the change in x. Is it going up or down? And is it going left or right? So look at 5 on top, on the top of the fraction. It's a plus 5, which means we're going to go up 5. So standing on this point here that we already have, our y-intercept, I'm going to go up 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll land right there. And then I'm going to go, it says 2, which is a plus 2. So that would be right 2. So standing where I stopped, I'm going to go right 2. And that's my second point. Now all I need to make any line is 2 points. So I connect those 2 points, and that's my line. Okay, let's do another example. We have this equation y equals minus 2/3 x plus 4. So remember, the y equals mx plus b. You first want to look at this b number, which is this number that's floating out here. Actually, let me delete that and make it a nice color. This number, this is your y-intercept. So this is the place the graph crosses the y-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, we make a dot. We know at least the line goes through that point. Then we look here. This is the slope. The slope we call the rise over the run, or the change in y. This triangle just means change over the change in x. So as we look at the top, the change in y, it says minus 2. That would be down 2. And then there's a 3. It's just a plus 3. Even though no plus is written, that means plus. You go right 3. So we stand on the point we already have, and we go down 2. Okay, and then right 3. That's where I land. Let's put another dot there. And then we just connect the dots to make the line. Okay, let's do another example. Again, we're going to start off with the y-intercept, which is the number that's just floating, not next to the x. Y-intercept, that is the place the graph crosses the y-axis, so at minus 1 in this case. Now, you might be concerned here about the slope. Normally we have the slope in the form of a fraction. Well, you know, anytime you have a number, you can put it over 1 and it's equivalent. So minus 4 is the same as minus 4 over 1. And that helps us when we think about the slope as the change in y over the change in x. So in this case, the change in y, it says minus 4. That means we're going to go down 4. And the change in x, it's just a plus 1. There's no plus there, so it means plus 1. So that's right 1. So I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, right 1. That's where I'm going to land, and then I connect the dots to make my line. Okay, well, what about this one? It looks simple enough, but it does look different than the form we were normally using. Remember, we normally were using y equals mx plus b, where the m is the slope and the b is the y-intercept. There's nothing there for b. So it would be equivalent for us to just write plus 0. There's nothing there. So when we think about the y-intercept in this case, the y-intercept is just 0. We can start there. And now we have the slope, which, if you remember, we prefer slope to be a fraction, so you can always make it out of 1. So the slope in this case, the change in y over the change in x. The top is the change in y. So y, it looks like it's a plus 3. That means we're going to go up 3. 1, 2, 3. And then on the right, we're going to go right 1, because that's a plus 1. So we go there. So that's where we're going to land. And there we go. There is the equation y equals 3x. Okay, now sometimes it's not quite so nice as to have the equation in y equals mx plus b form. Sometimes it's given in standard form, which is where the x and the y are both on the left side of the equation. So what you want to do, the easiest way, is to move the x term to the other side so you can change it to be y equals mx plus b form. So in this case, remember, when you have an equal sign, whatever you do on the left, you do on the right. We'll subtract the 3x from both sides. That way, it will go away on the left, and we'll be left with y equals minus 3x plus 5, which is y equals mx plus b form. So if we were going to graph this, here's your x-axis, here's your y-axis. We have our y-intercept. In this case is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We make a dot there. And then we have the slope is minus 3 over 1, which means you're going to go down 1, 2, 3, and go right 1. And then you'll make your second dot. And there you have your line. Let's do another one. Again, we have both x and y on the left-hand side, which doesn't make it as easy to graph. So if we can change it to y equals mx plus b, that's going to be better. So what I'm going to do in this case is, since this is a minus y, I much prefer to have a plus y. So first thing I'll do is I'll move that y to the other side. I'll say plus y, whoops, plus y, plus y. So we end up with x equal to y plus 2, but now we need to remove that 2, so we'll minus 2, and we end up with y equals to x minus 2. We're used to seeing it y on the left, y equals to x minus 2. So in this case, the slope is just 1 over 1. The y-intercept is minus 2. So right here is the y-intercept. We'll go down 2, make a dot, and the slope is 1 over 1, which means every time you go up 1, you go right 1, and then you make a dot. So this would be the line.